This is a different morning for us. But we're so happy to have you here. My name is Nate, and I am the lead pastor of the Front Church. And some of you may be from another tradition. Some of you may not consider yourself particularly religious. And I just want to say, welcome. We want the Front Church to be a place for you. Now, we're in our preseason right now. And in the preseason, things look a little different than the season. For instance, in the preseason, I just took my guitar off, sang my lungs out, sat it down, grabbed the microphone, and now I'm here speaking to you. That's not going to be typical in the season. But in the preseason, sometimes that happens. We're working towards having a full band. And this isn't the first time that I've led worship in 2 months. So most of the time you don't see me up here, which is really wonderful for me and my voice. But this morning, this is what it is. I've been asked, what makes the preseason different than the season? Well, there's a few things. One is this auditorium is going to look different. What you see now is just some churches have been generous in giving us some supplies to get started, but we're going to hit that one more time, Jesse. That's my fault for putting the timer on there. But our auditorium is going to be a lot more extensive a setup with a full band, and we're going to outfit this space a little differently. Fluorescent lights, I hate them. I hate like in my spirit, there's something that gets sucked out every time I see them, but the lighting's going to be different. Some things are going to be different, how we outfit the auditorium. The area that you walk through to get over here is not going to be a barren wasteland, but we're going to turn that into a cafe. And so you can grab your coffee, you can hang out. And some people say, well, why are you going to such great lengths to outfit this space this way and that space over there into a cafe? Well, this is why. It's really simple. We want people to come and be like, oh. And then we want them to come back. We want people to come and have a good time and come back. This morning is a monumental moment in the Front Church history because for the first time ever, there's no kid front moment. For the first time ever, there's no kids running around. See, we started my garage last summer. And then we moved here in October. And we started by giving the kids coloring pages and doing a kid front moment. And then we moved to doing a kid front moment. And then the kids go back there and play. And this morning, for the first time ever, we're rolling out the summit. And the summit is their worship time, where they sing songs of worship to Jesus, where they have fun, where they hear the story of Jesus in age-appropriate ways over there, while we have our worship time and we hear the story of Jesus in age-appropriate ways over here. It's a big Sunday. Give it up. This is a big deal. And for our Kid Front volunteers who are over there, make sure to thank them. When you usually roll something out for the first time, it can feel chaotic. And this morning felt a little bit that way, but they're working hard to do something because they believe, and at the Front Church, we believe that kids are the most important thing we do. And so we're going to go all out to make sure that the kids hear about Jesus. This whole thing, the whole reason we're transforming these spaces, the whole reason we're spending so much time preparing for a grand opening and praying for a full house on Sunday, September 12th, is because we think that the most important thing anyone can ever have happen to them is a relationship with Jesus, to experience Jesus' story. And so we're going to go all out so that people continue coming back, so that people hear about Jesus and experience Jesus' story. So that is preseason, heading to the season. And now it's Mother's Day, you guys. So that's a big deal. I'm excited about Mother's Day. I do want to acknowledge, though, that I know that today can be a day of joy for a lot of us, but it can also be a day of pain. It can be a day of pain for those that maybe have struggled with infertility. It can be a day of pain because some of you may not have had a great mom. And I just want to say, we're with you. I don't want you to think that we just have ignored that this can be painful for some people while celebrating Mother's Day at the same time. So we're with you. We hear you. We're a community for you. But here we go. Can I brag on my wife for a minute? Robin is a world-class mom. She makes me a way better dad than I would have ever been without her. And one of the things I love is that our girls can go up to Robin and say, hey, Mom, build this with me. And she will help them build things. And so I wanted to show you this video of what Mina and Robin accomplished recently. I hope you can see it all right.
Welcome to Mina's creation. We started together on this front house. We built this together. She chose all the flowers. But this is how much house we did together. Just this. And then Mina, for her quiet time, built on.
This is the stairs.
I know.
Stairs.
Okay, careful not to break it, buddy.
Stairs.
And during Mina's quiet time, she added on. We have an upstairs with a bed. There's a mouse in the bed. Candle on the nightstand. Jewels on the nightstand. You can climb the roof, she said, and go out down these stairs to another little... What is this little place?
It's called that patio.
Oh,
another patio up there.
Another patio. And then these stairs, she asked me to help her build these stairs inside, which I did. And then we have our outer wall and backyard area. There's a backyard door she made all by herself. Window, and this is an outdoor patio downstairs to the grass. Mm-hmm. But she is quite extensive in her work. See, here's the front door that we built together. So she certainly took it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Humming.
Yeah. Whoa! I can fix that.
You can fix that, master builder.
It's not coming.
Can you look at Mom and smile?
That's my 5-year-old Mina. She's amazing as well. And you heard Tacy providing her stairs commentary. But Mom taught us something. Mom taught us that building is always better together. And at the Front Church, we have what we call practices, and then we have what we call values. And practices change because we want to invite as many people as possible to experience Jesus' story. And so we're always tweaking, we're always adapting, we're always doing things so that as many people as possible can experience Jesus' story. But then we have values, and values don't change. Values answer the question, who are we becoming? What type of church are we becoming? What type of people are we becoming? And for the past few weeks, we've been talking around our value of inviting as many people as possible to experience Jesus' story. And a few weeks ago, we looked at Jesus. And Jesus is always living this, you should come, invitational life. He's like, hey, you should come. You should come. And how in John 4, we see him engage with his new friend. And his new friend, something happens to her. Something shifts inside of her. She comes, she meets him, and she's changed by him. And she goes back to her community and says, hey, you should come. And so we talked about you should come being a marker of Jesus and a marker of Jesus' people. Last week, we talked about how sometimes we as friends need to do whatever it takes to bridge whatever obstacle there is in our friend's way to experience Jesus' story. And we looked at the story of 4 crazy friends in Mark chapter 2. And this morning, we're going to look at a lesson that Mom is teaching us. Building is always better with someone. So open or turn on your Bibles, if you would, to the book of John. John is right after the book of Luke. It's right before the book of Acts. And we're going to be in John, big number 1, so almost at the very beginning of the book of John, and then little number 35. And we're just going to dive right in and make a few observations along the way. So John chapter 1, big number 1, little number 35. The next day, John the Baptist was there again with 2 of his disciples. And when he saw Jesus passing by, he said, look, the Lamb of God. And when the 2 disciples heard him say this, they followed Jesus. And turning around, Jesus saw them following and asked, what do you want? And they said, Rabbi, which means teacher, where are you staying? "Come," he replied, "and you'll see." So they went and saw where he was staying, and they spent that day, one day, with him. It was about 4 p.m. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had said and who had followed Jesus. And so first we see Jesus in his natural invitational mood where he's saying, you should come. And he's just doing his you should come thing. And then these guys, a couple guys, they meet Jesus and they follow him. One day. They're with him one day. Look at this. Verse 41, and the first thing Andrew did after this one day was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We found the Messiah, that is the Christ." And he brought him to Jesus. And Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which when translated is Peter. They had just started following Jesus a day before. But notice this, one day, one moment with Jesus, one experience with Jesus, and something has happened inside of them. They know that something special is going on. Something special is coming. And one day, right, they don't have all their I's dotted. They don't have all their T's crossed. They don't have it all figured out. But they experience Jesus. And then Andrew's like, you know who should be here? Simon. I got to get Simon here. He should be here. He should be doing this with me. And so he goes to get him. And then what happens? Simon comes. Something happens to Simon where he experiences Jesus. And his experience with Jesus is Jesus gives him a new name. But what is going on there? Well, here's the thing. The gospel writer John, unlike books of today, where writers can write and pump out thousands of words on thousands of pages, he has limited space to work with in the first century. He's got to choose his phrases carefully. He's got to choose his words carefully. He's got to choose his stories carefully. And so here he gives us, sometimes we're getting some cliff notes because some more is going on, but he's like, what do they absolutely need to know? But here you have this moment with Jesus and Simon. And Jesus says, you're Peter. What's going on there? Jesus saying, I don't care what they say about you. I don't care who they say you are. I don't care who they think you are. To me, you're Peter. And something shifts inside of Peter. He's given a new identity, a new type of being, a new way of being in the world. So let's keep going. So Andrew, he runs, he gets Peter. So now we got Andrew and Peter. And then verse 43, the next day, what is this, day 3, right? Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. And finding Philip, he said to him, follow me. You should come with me, Philip. And Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathaniel and told him, we have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. So Jesus is living his you should come life. He says, come on, Philip, let's go. And then Philip, one day, he experiences Jesus. He meets Jesus and he thinks, you know who should be here? Nathaniel. I got to get Nathaniel here. Nathaniel should be doing this thing with me. He should be beside me right now. And so he goes and gets him. It says, Philip found Nathaniel. I got to go find him. He goes, he finds him, and he gets him. What happens with Nathaniel? Nathaniel's like, Nazareth? Can anything good come from there? Nathaniel asked. And Philip says, come and see. Notice what happens. Jesus, in verse 39 of John 1, says, come and see. Now one of Jesus' followers, in verse 46, is saying, come and see. You should come, Nathaniel. I know you think that stuff about Nazareth, but just give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm your friend. You trust me. Come on. And when Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, here truly is an Israelite in whom there's no deceit. How do you know me? Nathanael asked. And Jesus answered, I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you. And then Nathanael declared, Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel. And Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You will see greater things than that." And Jesus then added, "Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." So again, John has to make some choices about what he includes. And Jesus and Nathaniel's exchange could seem a little confusing to us, but here's what's going on. Philip says, "Come on, you should come and see." Nathaniel comes, and Nathaniel meets Jesus. And when Nathaniel meets Jesus, what happens? Something changes in him. He experiences something. Something is going on inside him. Something shifts when he meets Jesus. We see a pattern here in John 1:35 through 51. We see Jesus saying, "You should come," and then they come. And then they notice something is happening. Something is happening here. Something is happening with Jesus. And then they're like, "I got to go get someone." So Andrew, Simon's got to be here. I got to go get Simon. Philip's like, "I got to go get Nathaniel. Nathaniel's got to be here. These guys got to be doing it with me. They got to do this with me. They got to experience this with me." One day with Jesus. One experience with Jesus. They know something that Mom taught us. And that is, building is always better with someone. Why am I going to do this alone? Simon needs to be here. Why am I going to do this by myself? Nathaniel needs to be here. Do this with me. So sometimes I think we got to have like all our I's dotted and T's crossed and things figured out about Jesus before we start inviting people along. And that's not what we see here. We see them figuring it out, but experiencing Jesus and inviting their friends along. And I think that a lot of us are out of practice with our, "You should come. You should come do this with me." I think that COVID-19 has put a lot of us out of practice because for a whole year we were told we shouldn't tell people to come. Like, "No, you should stay. I should stay over here. You should Zoom. You should Zoom." But now I think we're out of practice, but I think if we're honest, if any of us have spent any significant amount in church world at all, we know that we've actually, it's not that we're not good at "you should come," it's that we've kind of got tricked. We've kind of started to think that church is about me getting my spiritual needs met. I need to get my spiritual needs met, so I go to church. And we get tricked. Church, it's not that church isn't about meeting spiritual needs. Church can very much meet, or it should meet our spiritual needs. But here's how. There's a way that happens. It's not coming here for me to get my fix, but church actually exists not for us to get our spiritual needs fixed, but for us to use our spiritual gifts in service to one another. And Jesus teaches us this. We looked at it a couple weeks ago in John 4. He says, "I have food that you don't know about." The disciples are like, "What are you talking about? Did he go get food somewhere?" He says, "No, my food is to do the will of him who sent me." Jesus says there's something nourishing, there's something soul-filling, there's something soul-satisfying about doing the will of the Father. That is food for our soul. And so if we aren't in the food for our soul, getting our quote-unquote spiritual needs met, actually happens when in service to others. Actually happens when we're inviting people in. That is, Jesus says, food for our soul. Because what does God want? As many people as possible to experience the story of his Son. You know what else, though? This is the mirror I don't like to look in, okay? But if we're honest, if we're not really inviting people to experience Jesus at church, we're not really inviting people to experience Jesus, if we're not living "you should come" lives, it's probably because we're not captivated by Jesus. Because you look at these guys, and when they're captivated by Jesus, they can't help but say, Simon's got to get here. Simon's got to do this with me. Nathaniel's got to get here. Nathaniel's got to do it with me. They're so taken by him. They can't help it. And if we stare at that mirror, why am I not inviting people? It's because we're not captivated by Jesus. Captivated people invite people. I have good news for you this morning. Jesus is ready to captivate you again. Jesus is ready to remind you and to do for you what we see in all these stories. Where Andrew experiences Jesus. He experiences something he never experienced before. Jesus captivates him and he's like, I got to go get Simon. Simon, Jesus says, I don't care what people say about you. Now you're Peter. His whole identity shifts and changes. Philip, experiencing Jesus so much, he's got to go get Nathaniel. Nathaniel, again, being like, this is what I've been looking for. My Lord and my God. Jesus is ready to captivate you again. To remind you of his love for you, to remind you of his forgiveness for you. Jesus isn't standing here to shame us. He doesn't shame these guys. Hey, how could you be doing that? He's ready to embrace. He's ready to forgive. And he's ready to remind you again of his unending, never-stopping love for you. You know, one of the reasons we're starting a front church is because we want to see as many people as possible experience Jesus' story. And did you know, statistically, older churches are worse at connecting, at reaching people for Jesus than newer churches. This is a statistical reality. If you want to see research, it's not my research, it's someone else's research. I can show you. But the statistical reality is the older a church, the less effective it is at reaching people. Of course, there are, what's the word I'm looking for? Exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions. But generally speaking, why would an older church be worse or less effective at reaching newer people than newer churches? Because the older church, the more internally focused you get. The more you begin to be tricked. I go to church so that my spiritual needs are met. This is about me. And other people, that is why they're here too. And we just begin to get tricked. And did you know, statistically, the newer a church, the more effective it is at reaching people for Jesus. So we want to see as many people as possible come to know Jesus. We want to see as many people as possible experience Jesus' story. And so I'm not saying get rid of the old churches and only with the newer churches. That's not how it works either. You see, the older churches, sometimes you can just get in a routine or a way of doing things. You know what a new church plant does to an older church? It's like a shot in the arm. It's like, we could do that. We could try that out. I guess we never thought of that. Like a new church is like a shot in the arm to an old church. And you know what? New churches, we can't exist without older churches. New churches don't have people, don't have money. We need older churches to both meet our needs financially. We need older churches to be praying for us. We need older churches to be partner with us and cheering us on. We need each other. But the reason we're starting the front is because there's 96,000 people within a 5-mile radius of this spot. And we are Christian church number 4. Mom taught us something. Building is always better with someone. And Andrew knew this, and he ran and got Simon. And Philip knew this, and he ran and he got Peter. Who do you know? Like, where you're like, you know who this would be better with? This person. Who is that? Like, she should be here. Oh, this would be so good if we were doing this together. Or he should be here. This would be so good if we were doing this together. Who do you know? We need a whole lot of volunteers before our grand opening on Sunday, September 12th. We have 92 roles to fill. And that's a lot of roles. And we have about 30 volunteers right now who are serving in some sort of capacity. 92 roles means 41 a Sunday. Because we want people to be able to serve on a Sunday, get a break on a Sunday. Serve on a Sunday, get a break on a Sunday. So 92 roles need to be filled. And here's the thing, nobody said you need to volunteer alone. I'm asking you to begin to think, who needs to be here with you? Who should be here? Who should come do this with us? Building is always better with someone. So we need some immediate needs. We need 4 nursery volunteers this month. Say if you're like, what could I do? Do you love babies but not love like teaching? Or do you love just babies but maybe not being in front of people? Hey, have I got a thing for you? You should be a nursery volunteer. Or maybe like you're like, I am totally behind the scenes. I don't want to be up front. I don't want to be seen by people. We need 4 people this month for our setup team. Maybe setup team. And I'm not saying you have to do this alone. Who should do this with you? Who could come and do this with you? Hospitality. If maybe you do like to be seen by people. Maybe you like to smile at people. We need 2 more hospitality volunteers this month. Whose company do you enjoy? Or who are you already doing life with, but you're not doing church with yet? Who should come? Who should be here? Who are you already trying to get time with? And you're like, oh, you bemoan, like, oh, I don't have enough time and I really want to spend time with this person. They should come. They should do this with you. You could do time, you can serve alongside each other and talk and have a good time. Who do you enjoy sharing projects with? Who should be here? You know that what your invite is 25,000 times more powerful than 25,000 mailers. Your personal invite is 25,000 times more powerful than a Google ad. Your personal invite to someone is 25,000 times more powerful than a Facebook ad. And a lot of us have people who we already want to spend time with. We're already thinking, hey, they should be here. They should be a part of this. They should be doing this. And who is going to ask them? You. You got to ask them. Maybe you're on the fence about serving yourself. You're like, I don't know. I don't know about this. I just like to come. That's okay. We need bodies. We need people to just show up. So that's you. Wonderful. Thank you. Super pumped to have you. If you need to feel it out for a while, that's totally cool too. We are so pumped to have you. Maybe you're on the fence though. Maybe you felt it out and you're like, I kind of like this. I like where this is going. I like where this is headed. We have 92 roles to fill by September. And if you think, this is what I would say to you. If you think our community needs a church like the Front Church, where spiritually curious people can come and explore, where if you think our community needs a church where people can come and they can leave and think, man, I wish my neighbor would have been here. This is a church I can invite my neighbor to. If you think our community needs a church like that, then I would say, you should help us because we need your help to pull this off. We can't do it on our own. Mom taught us something. She taught us that building something is always better with someone. And Jesus is teaching us this, saying you should come. And we learn from Andrew and Simon and Philip and Nathaniel. And our community needs a church where people have stories like Peter's, where Peter comes and he's got all these things floating around in his head about who he is and what people think of him and what people say about him and what people are saying about him behind his back, all these things swarming. And Jesus says to him, no, this is who you are. Our community needs a church where people can come with all those things swarming in their heads and we can say, guess what Jesus says you are. I don't care what they say. Our community needs a church where people who are looking like Nathaniel, and they've been looking, they meet Jesus, they come and they meet Jesus, and they say, this is what I've been looking for. We need your help. We need your help to pull this off. Jesus is still at work to change lives. He hasn't stopped that. And he's saying, you know what, guys? Building is always better with someone. You know that, right? Let's pray.